Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are breaking down an absolutely massive tactical collision. We're looking ahead to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and guys, we've got a matchup that is at its core a pure clash of cultures. Australia taking on Turkey. Whether you're a die-hard tactical nerd or a casual viewer, this is exactly the kind of matchup that defines modern football. We've got two teams with vastly different mindsets stepping onto the world's biggest stage, ready to prove whose footballing philosophy actually reigns supreme.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because this isn't just a game. It's really a fundamental debate about how football should be played. On one side of the equation, we have raw, unyielding physicality, and on the other, pure, refined technique. When these two totally opposing footballing identities share the pitch, the contrast is stark. Sparks are absolutely guaranteed to fly. First up, let's ground ourselves with the essential facts. The battleground for this crucial Group D fixture is BC Place in Vancouver. The stakes literally couldn't be higher for the group stage, with both nations desperate to secure those vital points to advance to the knockout rounds.
Which brings us to our first tactical breakdown, the immovable object, Australia's defensive counterattack.
So the Aussies act as the immovable force in this scenario, building their foundation on immense physical strength and a rigid, highly organized defensive formation. Look, they aren't necessarily going to try and outpass you, but they are definitely going to outwork you. Their game plan relies on three deliberate steps. Step 1, they drop into a compact, low defensive block. Think a narrow 4-4-2 or even a 5-4-1, forcing opponents out wide and totally denying any space through the middle. Step 2 is the trigger, winning that ball back in their own half the very second a heavy touch is taken. And step 3 is where the real danger lies, hitting on the break with blistering pace. Picture them practically waiting patiently in that low block to spring a sudden tactical trap on their opponents.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is who sits at the tip of that defensive spear, Kusini Yengi. For a counterattacking system to actually work efficiently, you need a focal point, right? And Yengi is exactly that. His specific combination of raw pace and lethal finishing is what makes Australia's breakaway threat so genuinely terrifying for any defense. He is the main threat that can punish a team the exact second they lose the ball.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our next section, the unstoppable force, Turkey's possession and flair. Here, we completely pivot away from defensive grit and move straight into a narrative of artistry, possession, and attacking flair. Turkey's entire game plan revolves around dictating the match. They employ a heavy possession style, using overlapping fullbacks and inverted wingers to constantly overload the midfield. They want to dominate the ball, continuously probing the Australian defense with their attacking midfielders. By relying heavily on their superior technical quality to control the tempo, they use intricate passing networks to search for that tiny crack in the opponent's defensive armor. And the chief architect of those passing networks? Yeah, that would be Arda Güler. He is Turkey's young superstar and the absolute visionary of the squad. He possesses incredible creativity combined with a highly dangerous long-range shooting ability. Just picture him constantly scanning the pitch, waiting for a fraction of a second to deliver that one precise defense-splitting pass that completely unlocks the opposition's low block.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core dynamic laid bare. Australia's imposing physicality clashing directly with Turkey's pinpoint vision. It's the classic footballing dichotomy. Watching these two completely opposing strategies collide in real time is exactly why this fixture is going to be so incredibly compelling to analyze and watch.
All right, let's get into the moment of truth, the collision final match prediction.
What happens when these two contrasting forces actually collide on the pitch in Vancouver? Well, the tension in a matchup like this usually lasts for the full 90 minutes. So the crucial point is how these opposing styles decide the outcome. In a tight, high-stakes game like this, technique often finds a way through the physical wall. While it's expected to be a very close game, the breakdown suggests that Turkey's technical quality gives them a slight advantage. The sheer volume of chances created by their sustained possession should just barely edge out the rigid, physical defense of the Australians over the course of the match.
And that leads us to the final predicted scoreline, a narrow, hard-fought 2-1 victory in favor of Turkey. This points to a game where they will absolutely have to work for every single inch of space, but ultimately, they are predicted to come out on top.
Let's break down exactly who is predicted to find the back of the net, connecting this right back to the tactical dangermen we analyzed earlier. For Turkey, the scorers are projected to be that visionary Arda Güler alongside Kerem Aktürkoğlu. And for Australia, Executing that lethal counterattack perfectly, Kusini, Yengi is predicted to score. The very players central to their respective teams' identities are the ones expected to deliver when it matters most.
This brings us to a timeless debate to wrap up our explainer today. Will technical flair always beat physical defense? Is possession really 9/10 of the law in football? Or can a perfectly executed counterattack completely shatter the most beautiful passing game? Think about how these styles match up and ask yourself, what is your prediction for this massive tactical clash? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep your eyes on the pitch.